Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope that everyone will be fine, and welcome back to the part number 3. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you how we can fetch the data from the Node.js API, and with the help of that we can show all the results and fetch all the results from that, right? So the few things that you need, make sure you have done already. So make sure you have your Node.js application also running with the port number 3000. In my case, it's already running, so you need to make sure if you have installed the nodemon, so you can simply just click on the npm start, and this gonna run the server for the Node.js application. And plus, I have already running my the Angular application by simply typing ng-serve, and this gonna run your application on the port number 4200. So that's all the things that I've done in the last video. So so basically this is the layout, and we have to convert that layout into some sort of a table and have some add our nav bar. So we have to do a few steps before we should start directly. We need to create some components, and inside components we have to create some routes, as well as we have to create the services and so on. So with the passage of time on based of the requirements that we need to meet. All right, so let's jump into the Visual Studio Code. So already I have running my VS Code, and I have my folder already open inside that. And if you're using VS Code, I highly suggest that, because it provides you a lot of extensions. So if in your case, if that extension is not installed, make sure you have your Angular snippets extension installed. So this is going to really help you out, right? All right, so the first thing I'm going to do here is, before I should start this application real quick, inside source we have something which is known as the index.html file, and this is the file that's where we have the app-root, and basically this is the main file. That's where we place all the routing and app-routing if you're using for your nav. So if I go inside my app, and which is the app.component.html, and this is everything that you see on the browser on the main screen. And plus we have the app.module.ts file, which contain everything we have to bring our Angular application core. Plus we have the platform-browser, and we bring all those components inside our declarations. And later on we have to put we have to add some form module and so on, so we can add this inside the imports. So everything that I do, and I have explained in my usually I have created a course on the Angular application where I explain things on where what actually forms module and browser module, and even the file structure, right? So I hope you guys will get what I'm doing, right? So let's first go and get the getbootstrap.com. So we're using front end as a bootstrap, a CSS framework. So that's going to really help and save our time, right? So let's copy the CSS only. So I'm going to grab it from here, and let's add into your index.html file. So you need to go direct to the source, and let's add the bootstrap CDN. All right, so next thing that I need is the script source for the JavaScript, and actually I need, just for the sake that we have to bring something, the navbar, and for the responsiveness case it might require, so I need to bring this in as well. All right, so now this is done, and the next thing I'm going to do here is let's add the components. So I've been using the terminal, so you can use whatever you feel comfortable. So I have my 2 git bash on, one where the node application is running, and on the other hand my Angular application is running. So it's all up to you, whatever you feel more comfortable. But in my case, I'm just using my terminal of VS Code, where I can run and execute commands for the components, or we can create the services and model and classes, something like that, right? So let's create the very first component inside here. Is let's ng for Angular, G for generate, and C for the component. I need to create here a folder with the name of the employee. So let's create here a folder, and give it the name of the employee as well. So if I just simply press enter, and this is going to create the employees inside source app. And you see here we have the folder, and we have the 4 files, which is one for the TypeScript file, the testing file, HTML, and the CSS. So let's go inside your employee.component.html, and that's where you could see the employees work. So the structure works in a way that we have our selector. If you go to your the TypeScript file, we have the selector, we have the template URL, and the style URL. So basically these are the path that we gave to the CSS and the HTML file, plus we have the selector to select and show the component layout on based of the selector. So we are gonna do this with the passage of time, or even while we are creating a nav bar, right? So I'm gonna close that up, and let's go inside the very first important file, which is the app.component.html. So let's go inside here, and I'm going to remove everything from here. And if I go back to the application, and you see now everything has been removed, and that's basically where we have to set our routes in. So let's create our very first component HTML. So I need to create here another component. Let's go into the terminal, and let's create here a nav bar. So I need to create here a separate one for the nav bar, and let's name it the navbar slash. So navbar slash, and the name of the component, which is navbar, and let's press enter, and this is going to create here the navbar component for us, right? So that's where I'm going to place my my navbar for the bootstrap. So let's go inside my navbar and find out from the bootstrap. So you need to go to the examples, and there are plenty of the options that you can get the one of the best navbar if you want, but I believe we are not looking for something. We just need to make things very simpler and easier to understand. So I'm going to grab the starter template. So just click on here and press Ctrl U, and just grab the nav tag. So I'm going to simply copy that up, and just need to place all the navbar inside here. So I later on I don't need to add a lot of stuff, so just remove the UL tags, or even inspect just remove the all li, the drop down, the complete drop down. Plus I don't need this disabled, and just remove that as well. We don't need any search, just remove this from here. Plus these are the links that we might need. Alright, so just keep that here, right? And I saved it, and you see nothing happens here. The reason why, because we need to bring this inside the app.component.html file, right? So for that I need to go directly to here, and let's add here the app-navbar, and basically this is the selector as I've shown you. If I press enter, and if I go to the navbar.component.ts, so basically this is the selector that I add here, and if I save this and go to my main home page, and you see now things are really cool. Now there's no more things that I needed. All right, so let's later on I'm going to change those links to the home, or we can create another link for the add employee. So just change that text to show you. If I go to the navbar.component.html, and let's change that to add employee, and with the help of router link we are going to navigate from one page to the another, which I haven't done yet, so we're going to do this later. Alright, so the first thing that I need here is to show the listing. We have to create here a table where we can show all the listing. We have to fetch from the Node API and get all the results shown on the Angular application. Alright, so let's create a very basic table here, and inside my navbar, that these are the links. Okay, so let's move into the employee.component.html, and let's create here a table. Now once I create here a table, let's suppose if I just add table heading inside TRs, we need to add some table heading. Let's create the scope. Let's give it the scope of column, and the first one is for the ID, and let's create the more fields for more table headings, the name, email, and the action, and the salary as well, right? So just change that to name. The second one should be email. The third one should be salary, and the fourth one that I need is for the action, where we are gonna place the delete button and the added button, right? So down underneath that we have to create the table body. So inside table body we have to create here TRs, and inside TRs we have to create here TDs 4 times. So let's create that. The first one that I need is for the ID. Let's give it the 1, and the name is, let's suppose, give the John, and The email that I need here is john@gmail.com, and the action for the action I need to create here the buttons. So let's create that first. All right, so I just want to make this a little zoom here. So let's create the button, and inside buttons I need to create here the BDN class. Let's create the class for the simple added button. So BDN dash primary, and make that button small, and I need to just give it the a margin horizontal of auto, so mx dash auto. All right, so let's do that and give it the name of the add-in, and let's grab the just copy and just paste it down here and change the class to danger to make it a red color. So just change the text to danger, and now you see, as I've done on the navbar case, you see if I just try to refresh this, and you see nothing happens. So basically we need to add that selector inside the app.component.html file. So let's go inside here and add the inside the just right after the app-navbar, I need to create here a container for the bootstrap class, which brings some space and add some padding, and let's create the HR. And right after the HR we need to create here a row, and for row let's bring here add some grids. So dot column, I need to add some margin to the top. Let's give it the empty dash 4, and let's add the margin bottom of 4, right? And just simply put tab here. Down here I need to give it the column of MD dash 8, and let's add the margin horizontal auto, right? And so let's bring here the router dash outlet, right? So the reason why I bring here the router dash outlet, that help us to navigate from one page to the another. So if I just add here router dash outlet, which we haven't created yet, so this is not gonna show us here. So we need to save that, save this for now. And if I go back and refresh my page, and you see nothing happens. So the reason why I haven't added the selector. So in order to add the selector for the employee, I need to go to the employee-component.ts file and add the selector, which is the app-employee. All right, so saves it, and there we go. So now we could see the action. Actually, I forget to give it the tags for the salary. So let's go to the app.component.html, and let's add here the salary, right? So let's give it the salary of 1,000, right? All right, so now we have our static data. So that actually I did just because to show you guys that everything works fine. All right, so that's the first thing. Now let's go into the application folder, and now we have created all the basic component that we need for the showing the listing. Now we need to create here something which is known as service. So services is basically a singleton class or object. So basically it sends the data to the component, right? So we need to create here a component, and later on we have to add the HTTP client module to get the HTTP request, right? So let's create the very first service, ngg for generate, s for service, and let's create here a folder with the name of service slash, and let's give it the name of the service of employee, right? Press enter. So this is gonna generate the service for us. All right, so now the service has been created successfully, and I need to just add the services, add some modules for it. So let's go inside your source app, and there we go. We have the service folder. Inside employee.service.ts we need to bring some modules here. So let's first add the HTTP client module. So for that we need to go inside your import and add here the HTTP client, and we have to bring this in from the Angular app, right? So add the right Angular /common/HTTP. all right. Now we need to bring this in the HTTP client. So for that we need to go inside the constructor, and let's define the private and define here HTTP client, whatever the name you want to give here. And right after here I need to give it the name of HTTP. Let's define the HTTP client, And down underneath that, we have to define the functions and we have to get the request. So let's create the very first method. So let's give it the get data, and inside here we need to pass return this.http client. All right, http client dot get, and we need to pass here http colon / localhost. Basically, this is the URL that we pass for the node application. So remember, it's running on the port number 3000 and /API/employees. Now, right now I don't think so I have the data, so just simply grab this here and let's open up into our node application, and you see the array is empty, so I need to add some data using Postman, or you can simply add the collection using the one of the very best tool, GUI, for the something known as Compass. So we can add some data, and later on I'm going to show you. All right, so basically right now the data is empty. It's completely fine, no worries with that. And I need to define that HTTP client inside our app.module.ts. So for that, let's go into your app.module.ts file. And so basically you see here we have our employee component. Also bring this inside the declarations array. We have our navbar component, and now I need to add the something which is known as HTTP client module. So let's add here. So import HTTP client module, and from the Angular /common/HTTP, and we need to define that inside our imports. So just simply copy it here and bring this inside our HTTP client module. All right. So the next thing that I need here is to add the routers link. So I just need to add the router link and the route. So just need to import that right after that. So let's create here import and add here router module. We need to bring the routes in as well. So let's add the routes for that, and let's import from the Angular/router. All right. So it should be Angular/ and the router. So for the router module, I need to create here a separate, because we need to define the links. So the links that I need here is the employee, and inside employee we have the implies all the listings, as well as I need to create here a separate inside employee. I need to create the for the add-employee. So let's create in the component here. So right inside my terminal, I need to create ngc for component, and inside employee folder, I just gave it the name of add-employee. All right. So just simply press enter, and this is going to create the component for us, right? So this is going to bring us inside my employee, and you see now we have the add-employee, which contains all the 4 files. All right, so built in by default, the Angular add the import inside the app.module.ts, plus we have the declaration in for the add-employee. So right underneath the imports, we have to create here a variable with the name of const app routes. So the name of the folder, and let's define the routes here. And inside route, we have to create an array where we have different paths. So first define the path, which is the home page, and the component that for the home page that I need is the employee component. So just simply define here, and right next after need that, we have to define another path. Let's give it the name of add-employee, and just very much similar what we have done. So let's define the component name. So the component that in my case would be add-employee component. All right, so just simply saves it. And now we need to define that app route inside our import. So let's go underneath that and define the app routes. So the router module dot for route, and this should be for route, and inside we have to define the name of the variable, which is the app routes, right? So just simply saves it. And now this is not gonna work still. If I just refresh this, I need to go back to the all right, so if I just try to go to the add-employee, and this is not gonna work because we need to define the links or the router links. So for that, I need to define something which is known as router link. So let's go inside your nav.component.html, right? So inside my nav.component.html, we have to define those links. So for the home page, I need to give it the slash, and we have to remove the href. So first we have to define here router link, all right, equal to slash. So slash is for the home page, and for the add employee, I need to just simply again remove this href here and define the router link equal to add dash employee. This should be the name of the link that we define inside our app.module.ts, so which is add dash employee, right? So if I go back and see, I believe everything is fine. Just change that to this link to MEAN Stack. All right, saves it. Now let's have a look and see. Now if I just try to go to my add dash employee, and still the links are not gonna work. The reason we have to define the router dash outlet inside our file of the app.component.html. So if I just remove this, you see this is the selector for showing the table. Now if I remove this, and definitely the table will be removed, and for that we already defined those links. So we have to define here router dash link, so router dash outlet, sorry about that. So it should be router dash outlet. And now if I refresh this, and now if I go to the add employee, it says add employee works. Go to the home page, it shows all the listings, right? So this is as simple as that, right? So we are very much it. Now let's go inside our service that we have created. So the service that we have created with the name of I need to go to just make this collapse and source app, and the name of the folder, which is service, and employee.service.ts. Now we have to call inside our component for the employee. So let's go inside your employee and the employee.component.ts. Now we have defined the service, and then we have to subscribe and get the response. So in order to do that, we have to define few things here. So first define the service name, so import, and the name of the service in my case, which is employee service. So employee service from source slash app slash, and the name of the folder, which is service slash employee.service, right? Saves it. And now we need to define that service inside our constructor, right? So let's gonna do that inside my constructor. So private, and give it the name of employee service, and define here employee service. It should be employee service. All right, so this should be private, and which can be only accessed only with the component. And next we have to define the function. So just underneath that, we have to get the employees data. So create here get employees data. We need to return the response. So for that, we have to define the service, which is the name of the service, which is the employee service. We have to get the method name, which is the get data. Now for that, we have to subscribe it. We have to get the response. So let's define here res, and I need to simply go and you can just also check the response by the console.log. And now if I go back and refresh this and go to my screen, and let's define console, and I also need to call that. So for this, I need to define inside my ng on init, which continuously initialize once the component is loaded. So let's define the function, and if I go back to the browser and check this out, and you see now we have the empty array. So basically this empty array is showing just because we have no any data. So let's go to the code, and now we have to get the response to the table. So this dot employees, I need to create here a variable with the name of employees to bring my data. So right underneath the export class, I need to define here employees of type any, right? That means that it can have the data of any type, integer, string, boolean. So inside here we have to define the this dot employs equal to response, res. Now we have to access this employs inside the component.html, and now we have to use here for loop, which is the ng for directory for the Angular application. So let's define here ng for equal to let emp of employees. All right, and we get all the employees, and I also need to define the index value. So basically this loops will run the index 1, 2, and 3. So I just define that dynamically in order to show that. Let's give it the of I plus 1. All right, so inside the double quotation string interpolation, let's add each index add its with the number of 1, and we have to define the now name. So for that I need to define the emp, so emp dot name. Next we need to define here emp dot email and the salary, right? So emp dot salary, saves it, and let's go to the browser and see. And now you see that we have any data. So now in order to show the data, we had to add some data inside our database. So let's open up your MongoDB Compass. So I have to add some data. So let's open up the MongoDB Compass. So just where the folder or directory where you have installed your Compass. So I just want to open up, and I need to pass here the URL for the mongo_URI, which I have already set. You can see my previous video. Still, for the confirmation, you can also watch my full course where I have explained to add the MongoDB Compass using creating by cluster and everything. So just need to copy that and click on the connect. All right, so this is going to connect to the MongoDB, right? And the name of the database, which in my case is API-CRUD, and inside employee I need to create some collections. So let's create here a collection here. So insert the document, and we can add all as well the way I need it. So the first thing that we have is a name. So give it the John, and let's give it the email of john@gmail.com, and the add the salary of 5,000. Right, so let's just simply press enter, and this is gonna create the ID and the name and the email and the salary. Right now if I go back and refresh this, and there we go. So you could see that now we can populate the data with the help of the API. Now just enter one more data, and just let's go inside the add data, insert the document, and let's give it the name of Sam. Sorry about that, this should be the name. So name of Sam, and the email sam@gmail.com. I hope you guys could see, might not see it. It's very, I need to just make this a little larger in size still, but it's fine. Salary of 7,000. If I just click insert, and now the document is inserted successfully, and if I refresh back, and there we go. Now we can also, you will learn that how we can fetch the data, right? So I believe that's it for this part number 3. In the next part, we are going to learn about how we can add the employee, and we're going to add some the code from the Node.js, like the response we have to show, and let's create some alerts and the messages. So that's what we're going to do in the next video. So if you guys really love this, so don't forget to like and subscribe, and I want to see you in the next part.